Good afternoon, citizens of conscience. It's a great pleasure to be here today. I see people of so many faiths, so many ethnicities who are all bound together by their commitment to what is good and just in humanity. And that is why it's such a privilege to be here today. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. My friends, for 2 months now, we have watched in utter horror as Israel has unleashed a genocide upon Gaza. Time and again, the soul-crushing images of dead children have brought us to tears. We have struggled to sleep. We have clenched our fists in rage. We have despaired at the utter and craven indifference of our governments to this suffering. Through it all, a growing chorus of experts has told us what we all know in our hearts to be true, that Canada's supposed ally Israel is committing a genocide before the eyes of the world. So obvious is this reality that Raz Siegel, an Israeli expert in modern genocide, called Israel's assault on Gaza a textbook case of genocide. So too did Craig Mokaber, who resigned in protest as the director of the New York office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. 2 weeks ago, Reem Al-Salem, the UN Special Rapporteur on Violence Against Women and Girls, condemned what she termed with complete justification the unfolding genocide in Gaza. And yesterday, no less than Luis Ocampo, who served from 2003 to 2012 as the first prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, publicly declared on Al Jazeera that there is a reasonable basis to accuse Israel of genocide. And yet that so-called prosecutor of the ICC, Karim Khan, who acted with such haste to indict the president of Russia, has done absolutely nothing in the face of a mountain of evidence of genocide. With pressure mounting to call these horrors by their true name, the CBC, our publicly funded national broadcaster, finally published today an article in which it acknowledged that numerous experts accuse Israel of genocide. According to the CBC, however, and I'm quoting here, experts and advocates are deeply divided.
No, they're not.
Just who are these so-called experts who defend Israel? One of the persons quoted prominently by the CBC is none other than Michael Mostyn, the CEO of B'nai B'rith Canada. Mr. Mostyn, who probably has never uttered a critical word in his entire life of this criminal regime, told the CBC that Israel is acting in self-defense. And according to him, because it's acting in self-defense, the accusation of genocide is, quote, absolutely wrong. In the morally bankrupt universe of pro-Israel advocacy, killing more than 6,000 Palestinian children is self-defense. Destroying hospitals, ambulances, mosques, and churches is self-defense. Assassinated more than 70 journalists is self-defense. Displacing more than 1.5 million residents of an open-air concentration camp is self-defense. Dropping 2,000-pound bombs on the Jabalia refugee camp is self-defense. None of this, of course, is self-defense. No conscientious citizen would dare to call these atrocities self-defense. My purpose in speaking here today is to refute the shameless arguments that are advanced in defense of these genocidal acts. First, Israel's advocates sometimes claim that the question of genocide is a matter of political opinion. This is false, like so much that is said about Israel. This is a legal question. The question of whether Israel is committing genocide is defined by the Genocide Convention, to which Canada, the United States, and Israel are all parties. And I will quote to you the words of the relevant article, Article 2 of the Genocide Convention. Genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group, such as the following acts. 1. Killing members of the group. 2. Causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. 3, deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. 4, imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. And 5, forcibly transferring children of the group to another group. The first point to be made about this definition is that Israel is committing not just one, which would be sufficient, but all of the acts in question. Israel is killing large numbers of Palestinians. Israel is wreaking heinous bodily and mental harm upon the people of Gaza, and particularly the children of Gaza. Through its total blockade of Gaza, Israel is deliberately inflicting on Palestinians conditions of life calculated to bring about the physical destruction, in whole or in part, of the 2.3 million residents of this open-air concentration camp. By destroying Gaza's health system and killing large numbers of Palestinian women, Israel is depriving the Palestinian women the ability to give birth. Thus, there is no serious question that Israel is committing the constituent acts. This leaves us with the question of intent. And here I note, the intent does not need to be an intent to eradicate all of the people of the racial or ethnic group in question, although there's plenty of evidence of that. It's sufficient if the intent is to destroy a material part of the population. In this extraordinary case, Israeli officials have openly declared their intention to destroy the population in question. Let me offer you a few of these shameless examples which have proven to the world that these people believe that they will never be held accountable. They're not even trying to conceal any longer their genocidal intent. On October 8th, the war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu vowed to turn Gaza into a deserted island. On October 9th, Israel's defense minister described Palestinian fighters as human animals and vowed to deprive the entire population of Gaza, not just the militants, of food, water, electricity, and fuel. Gallant said that he had lifted all restrictions on the Israeli apartheid army. Around the same time, Israel's president, who sometimes paraded to the Western world as a moderate of Israeli politics, stated the following: "This rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved, it's absolutely not true. It's an entire nation out there that's responsible." In mid-October, by which time Israel had killed hundreds of Palestinian children and wounded thousands more, Mirav Ben Adi, an MP from Yair Lapid's supposedly centrist opposition party, stated in the Knesset that, quote, "the children of Gaza have brought this upon themselves." In mid-November, by which time Israel had killed and maimed over 40,000 Gazans and displaced around 70% of its population, Nissim Vaturi, the deputy speaker of Israel's parliament, wrote on social media that we are too humane, burn Gaza now. And then, in mid-November, Israel's national broadcaster published a surreal video of Israeli children merrily singing that we will annihilate everyone in Gaza. I could cite many more examples, my friends, but I think that that will bring home the point that they are not even concealing their genocidal intent. Collectively, this constitutes not a textbook case of genocide, but a slam dunk case of genocide. And again, I say that this joke of a prosecutor, Karim Khan, who has had years to act, will not lift a finger to bring an end to this carnage. Exactly. This brings us to the question of Canada's obligations under the Genocide Convention. As a party to that convention, Canada is not only obliged to refrain from committing itself genocide, it has an obligation, as do all parties to this convention, to prevent and punish genocide. This was affirmed recently by the International Commission of Jurists, a standing group of 60 eminent international jurists, including senior judges, attorneys, and academics, on November 17th, 2 weeks ago, the Commission called on all parties to the convention, and particularly Canada's closest ally, the United States, to take all reasonable measures within their power, and I'm quoting here, to prevent genocide in Gaza, including by calling for a ceasefire, taking steps to ensure the lifting of the siege, and preventing the displacement of Palestinians, and to discontinue any military assistance, including arms sales. In response to this call, what has Genocide Justin done? He has done the exact opposite of what he is duty-bound to do. Genocide Justin refuses to demand a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. He continues to allow Canadian entities to sell arms to this criminal regime. Although Genocide Justin has never hesitated to impose sanctions on the official enemies of the United States, such as Russia or Iran, he refuses to impose any sanction upon Israel. Genocide Justin continues to confer trade benefits on Israel, including on its illegal settlements in the West Bank under the Canada-Israel Free Trade Agreement. Finally, his government continues to vote in Israel's favor at the United Nations, and only days ago, my friends, and despite Genocide Justin's repeated mendacious claims that he supports the two-state solution, Canada's government joined with Israel, the United States, and a handful of tiny states lacking any conscience whatsoever against a resolution calling for Israel to withdraw to the 1967 borders. These are the reasons why we have declared, and we will not stop declaring, Justin, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide. Justin, you can't hide. We charge you with genocide. My friends, in the face of our government's rank hypocrisy and utter contempt for the law, the fate of our precious brothers and sisters in Palestine lies in our own hands. Indeed, their fate lies in the hands of all people of conscience from all across the world. Together we must name and shame these political charlatans who claim to speak on our behalf. We must be relentless in exposing their hypocrisy and their moral bankruptcy. We must remind them constantly that unless they change their ways and comply with the dictates of human conscience, they will live in infamy. To borrow the words of the great Martin Luther King, we must not rest until the Palestinian people can say, free at last, thank God Almighty, we're free at last. Thank you.